We have the major indices testing their 200-day moving average. And like some people say, nothing good happens after 2 a.m. and under the 200-day moving average. So are you guys surprised to see this happening today?
Well, I wish we knew this last Thursday when we talked, right? I mean, it didn't seem to be that bad, but I think the concern was, or the concern now is that China didn't wall this off, right? Did we really expect them to? We knew this was going to have global ramifications at some point. We haven't seen, thankfully, any mortality rates in the U.S. I would imagine that could be the next scare if that were to occur. So it's not only cases that they don't know where it came from, like we got in California today. That was obviously one of the driving points to get the market even lower and break through some of those, longer term moving averages, as you mentioned. That was the spike lower. But, there's not a defined response to this. Anything that's said is everyone's guessing right now. Now we're starting to lower estimates. We're starting to see companies come out and pre-warn. This is all stuff that should have been done before. We rewarded companies last week for pre-warning. Adidas, Puma, look at those two examples. Now we're punishing the whole market because companies are now becoming savvy enough to say, hey, listen, this is going to affect us in some meaningful way.
That's right. I know you gave a lot of credit to a company like Apple. They were one of the first to say this is bad, but they today are down mega points. I mean, you mentioned this person in California. They do not know how this person got affected. They weren't in close contact with anyone. They weren't in the Wuhan area. People are starting to freak out that we should start going to the grocery stores and stocking up on food. Is that a reason why a stock like Kroger is up today?
Yeah, certainly it is. I mean, you look at the stocks that are up, it's the telehealths, it's the, companies that potentially could come up with some kind of vaccine. It's Clorox, it's, grocery stores. It's these fear stocks. People are worried. What do? They do somewhat irrational things where they go out and they do it to an extreme. And that's what we're seeing right now. It may get to that point. Hopefully it does not. Hopefully can be contained. But we also don't have the methods that China may have used to quarantine people. That's not going to fly here in the U.S. as much as it does over there. So there's an issue about that as well. So there's a broad spectrum of things that could occur, but also we could get this under wraps. We have enough collaborative efforts going on throughout the world. Maybe we come up with a vaccine. Maybe we come up with some idea how to contain it, how to control it, and keep the mortality rate to hopefully even lower rates.
Let's hope for that. But in the meantime, besides companies coming out and CEOs kind of stepping down and escaping out the exit and, looking at technical indicators, what else are you watching to get a gauge on this market?
It's funny. Last week, we talked about gold being at a high. We talked about bonds being at a high and the market being at a high. That can't occur, right? Something had to break, and it was equities, right? That was the bet. So the bond market is where it is. People are chasing now bonds, right? Now that boat becomes very crowded, right? There's not much return there. So is that an investment that people are going to want to make? Is this a short-term phenomenon? If it's a short-term phenomenon, are we going to see massive money flows out of bonds and trying to chase equities, trying to chase those returns? And that could very well happen. We saw the market rebound here. Not enough, obviously, but a substantial rally off the lows.
It's trying, that's for sure. And we did see yields hit an all-time low of 1.26%. I think I just clocked it at. All right, Matt, so since, you have a fan club here on Twitter, I just want to let you know that. We could say hi to them. And I'm sure one thing they want to ask you is, what would your emergency food source be should you have to go to the grocery store right now and stock up on it?
Popeye's chicken sandwiches. I think that would be it. Maybe frozen pizza, too. Those would be two things I would go to. But, remember when Hurricane Katrina rolled through Houston, I believe, and, they had taken out all of the meat products, right? And they had left all the plant-based products. So that was before the Beyond Meat craze. So, it's interesting. I think I would go with, I'd race right to Popeyes, I think, and I'd stock up.
And you'll definitely make a lot of money on that, too, selling it outside your man cave shed.
Yeah, right. I wish I had one of those. It's more of a dog house.